Welcome back from that break. If you just joined us, the program is still Good Morning Abuja on NTA Channel 5. Our first conversation this morning is with a lecturer from Kaduna State University. He is in the person of Audu Haruna Jimo, also known as Abu Imran, and we are going to talk more on parenting and parenthood, the significance to the society and families. Join me as I welcome Abu Imran to the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you here again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here as usual.
Thank you so much. You are doing so well for the society and for Nigeria at large. I commend you for that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we are going to look at the aspect of parenting and of course the significance of parenting. Of course, the idea of parenthood and parenting, you know, varies from one individual to another, and even traditionally. So what would you say is the ideal module or the template for parenting?
Yeah, thank you once again for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here. I think the family is the smallest unit of society. So whatever the family produces is what it churns into the society. So it's very integral to a healthy society, which is why if the family system breaks down, it will have an adverse effect on the society. So when it comes to parenting, I believe there is no single size that fits all for parenting. You have to choose what works for you, what works for your own family unit, and what works for what you consider your cultural or your religious belief. However, there are key elements that are determinant of how successful or otherwise the parenting will be.
Okay.
For instance, the family structure. So how is the bond between the father and the mother? This is quite important for the child to grow up in an environment of security and peace. If you don't provide this, no matter how much input you put in, the damage may be too much to correct with your own personal effort. So the family structure must be solid, must be there. You must have a father who is responsible and providing for the home, and you must have a mother who is supportive, and then both of them are in a bond that the child grows up to see what an ideal family unit should look like. Then you have the second element is the parents themselves. You can't give what you don't have.
Sure.
So to be a parent, you need to have something within you that you can send to your child or pass down to your child. So when picking a spouse, for instance, it's not just about finding somebody who is pleasing to you. Are they likely to be a good father or mother to your children? So you must have parents who are intentional about the parenting and who at least want to be parents. Some people get married, they want to just have the pleasure and go away, but are they ready to be parents? So that's the second element, that you as a parent that wants to parent a child, you must be made up of something. You may read about it, you may learn from experience, but it has to be intentional. I want to be a good parent to my children. Then thirdly is the society. I read books about parenting and I learned a lot from it. But then I realized that the authors of these books live in a world different from ours.
Yeah,
perhaps
sure.
they are white and their society is different from
African
ours.
culture.
So you can't just copy and paste whatever you pick from there in our society. You must understand
it might not be suitable.
Our peculiarities. What are your culture? Today we live in a time where people have this inferiority complex. You want to just take other people's culture and place over yours. No, let your child understand his own culture and identify with it. It gives him this confidence, and he's not easily pushed around by new ideas. So these are key elements that determine the outcome of that parenting. But besides this, you have to create your own model. You can't even use the same parenting style for your kids. Each kid may have a different model, depending on the kind of child they are going to be. And we must know that we are not the makers of children. So ultimately, there's no guarantee that even if you do the very best you can, that the child will turn out the exact way you want. We just modulate them. We try to modulate what they become, their character. So you do your very best, and then once you've done your best, whatever happens, and then you accept it like that. So in summary, there's no one size fits all. You have to choose your own model, but then there are key elements that should be present, and those are the things I've mentioned already.
All right, very well spoken. What actually is your assessment of our society of today, if you just to pose it with the society of our forefathers and then of yesterday?
I don't even think we have to go too far to the forefathers. I can just say 20 years backwards. Parenting is totally different from what we have today, and it's unfortunate. It's as if we are retrogressing. Parenting is becoming a choice and not something you see as a necessity in a society. And it's used to be a collective effort. When we were growing up, everybody, every member of the community were part of the parenting process.
Sure.
If I messed around in a society, my father's friend or a neighbor can correct me right there, take me home and report him, and then I get the second part of the correction.
And without the knowledge of your parents.
Without the knowledge, and
Yes.
they would not see a thing to that. But today, as we become more urban, we are becoming more individualistic with parenting. So just me and my kids. Nobody touches my kids. In fact, in my environment, I can spend a month or two without even seeing my neighbor. So it's just me and my kids. And then even the individuals themselves, we have other priorities that are more important to us than our children. If you look at families today, and you want to quantify how much time they spend with the kids, it's nothing like what it used to be. And if you don't spend quality time with the children, it will tell on them. There are no miracles about this. Parenting is a very tedious process. It's time consuming. During the lockdown, I think 2 years ago, I had to spend that whole lockdown with my daughter. My wife is a nurse, so she had to go to work. And I had to babysit for that period. And I think I had a taste of what it feels like to do that part of parenting, which would have been done maybe by my wife. So it's very time consuming. And the very moment something else, it could be your work schedule, it could be anything else, becomes of more priority than the parenting, then it will suffer. And if the parenting is not adequate, the society will take the fall for it.
Yes, I'm talking about your last line, as in priority, placing your priority. Where would parents, or should parents, place their priority in this case? Because we also have to face economic reality. So how do we balance this?
Yeah, I think that virtually answers it. It's the balancing. First is your mindset. When I say a priority, my mom was a teacher. So it's not as if I had a stay-at-home mom. She went to work and she came back. So today there are women who still work, but their utmost priority is that parent. Nothing comes ahead of that. And then two, the amount of effort they put into it. You realize that many families are going liberal, and they are lackadaisical about the whole parenting process, all in the name of they are now more civilized. So it's a free world. The children are free to choose whatever they want because they don't spend more time with them. And even the time that they have to spend with the children are not quality enough. Social media, the parents are on the phones or on their laptops and don't really give enough time to the children. And of course, if there is a gap or a void in the mind of a child, society will be more than happy to fill in that void for you. But the outcome may not be so palatable to you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I have an experience. There's this lady that married just 3 years ago. So she drops her daughter most often in my house. So one day I sat down and I called her. I said, look, this thing you're doing is not good.
Yeah.
You are busy. Your husband is busy. Everybody is busy.
Yeah.
So you're leaving your child at the mercy of anybody that might not have that moral values to instill in these children and in this your daughter. And of course, she's at her formative stage. So why can't one of you sacrifice, your job and then to take care of, place a priority on this girl?
Yeah.
She said, that before the man saw her and married her, of course, she's working and she can't leave her job. Yeah. So he should find a way of taking care of his daughter.
That is it. So
I was like, have we gotten to this stage in our society?
There are 2 points to this. One, some of these issues can be avoided even at the point of picking a spouse. You look at your kind of job, the nature of job you do. How much time are you investing in it? If you know you're the type who works maybe 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the night, then you should look for a spouse who at least her own schedule will be more flexible enough to have more time for the kids, and vice versa. So it shouldn't be such that both of you are going to be away most of the time. And what I've noticed is that parents are trying to use school as an alternative to parenting. So there's a way of abandoning the kids in the school that will buy them some time. kids don't get home till maybe 5 p.m. in the evening.
Some 9 p.m. As I was returning from work yesterday, around 9 p.m. we were seeing children with their school bags crossing the road. My husband was like,
it's convenient for the parent, because that buys them the time to move around. So, and the school, no matter how much the teacher tries, will not replace parenting for your kids. I'll give a very short story. I heard of a banker, a woman. You know how banking job is. The husband too was busy, and they kept doing that until one day she came back home and found her children, a boy and a girl, involved in incest. And the shock was so much for her that she just had to resign. So when we tell people like this, it's not as if you're asking people not to progress, not to pursue career. No, we're saying whatever you do, whatever kind of career you will pursue, it's never as important as your home front. And if we don't stem the tide now, I fear for the future eventually, because if you don't have properly parented kids, they are going to be sent into the society, and you will see the outcome of it eventually. So
that is it, because the work will, of course, you will retire one day, and you have a home to fall back at.
Have you noticed that
quality of the home,
unlike before, where children take very good care of their parents at old age, the same way you are very careless about the parenting, when they grow old, they are likely going to be also careless about you, even if those that even want to be there. But because of this civilization or urbanization, they don't have so much time to spare for the parents. So they leave the parents in the village, and they live in the city, and they keep sending money for those that can even send the money home, not knowing that parents at that age need more than just the money you're sending. So it's what goes around comes around. The way you handle them while you were parenting them, when they grow up tomorrow, and when you get to that point where you will need them, it will get back to you.
Of course, so one will definitely report to you. So, all right, let's come back to you. You are an author. And you have authored so many books. Your recent books is Dear Damsel and Pubescence. So can you tell us what informed your decision to come into that?
The one I wrote was Pubescence. Dear Damsel was written by a friend, a doctor.
Okay.
So we looked at it this way, that what our focus was puberty.
Okay.
Puberty is a very delicate stage in the life of a child. It's like that stage where the child is taking that leap into adulthood. So if you make a mistake at that point, all the effort you put into parenting them from childhood to that point in time may just be a waste, because the mind is changing very fast. They are emotionally, they are psychologically changing, and all that. So we sat down and put together most of what they would need to know in that stage. And I said, well, as a man who has passed through that stage, I know much more about puberty for boys, and she, as a doctor and as a woman, she knows better about the stage for women. So we wrote the book separately, and also if you put them together in a book, they may not, because there are pictorial illustrations there, they may not be so healthy to show the other gender. So they're separate books. You can give one to your boy and the other to your girl. And then we put together the emotional changes that happen in puberty, the psychological changes, and everything you need to know. How do you handle it? The influx of so much things you never knew existed before. And they don't come to you as a shocker. And more importantly,
okay, I think here I may have to pause you. We will continue the conversation. Let me pause you here. Let's take a short break. Of course, the conversation will continue. I've been speaking with Abu Imran, an author and also a lecturer with the Kaduna State University, and the discussion has been around significance of parenting and parenthood. Let's go in a short break. We'll be back. Welcome back from that break. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Abuja on NTA Channel 5. And before we went on that break, we've been having conversation with Abu Imran, and his name again is Audu Haruna Jimo, a lecturer with Kaduna State University, and we've been talking on parenting. We are continuing from where we stopped before the break. All right, I actually paused you for the break, so you can continue.
So let's see if I can catch up from where I stopped. Yes, thank you. So we realized that puberty is a stage that many parents themselves are not so sure of what to do. Some don't even know what exactly has happened to the child. So there's this confusion both ways. The child is confused about what's happening to him, but maybe the parents are either not equipped with enough knowledge to guide them through, or the topics to be discussed are too delicate. So there's this shyness.
Of course, and cultural.
Yeah, we have this reservations based on our cultural dispositions about discussing certain matters with children. So we said, okay, why not put in a book? If you can't discuss certain things like erection, like wet dreams, like menstruation, you can't initiate it with your kids. Why not put it in a book? You give it to them, they read, and then you also read from it, and then you equip yourself with the right knowledge. And then when they come to you with questions, you have the right answers to give them, because what you know is from experience. So no matter what they read in the book, they can't know it as much as you do. But once you've initiated that discussion, then you can go to any length with them. If you don't fill this gap, their peers and society will do that for you, but not in the right manner. They give them all the wrong information and the likes. So we need to catch them young at that age. And the belief is that if you can catch a teenager and get it right, then at least you can feel a little bit confident that you're grooming an adult with the right knowledge and the right attitude towards life.
Well, that is it. And of course, still talking about your book, Pubescence.
Yes, Pubescence.
Pubescence, of course, a Muslim boy's guide on puberty. Yeah. How many chapters are there? And can you give us a preview to what is contained in the book here?
Yeah, there are about 7 chapters there. And the chapters are taken in chronological steps. What exactly is the stage of puberty? We began with the origin of creation, because that's where the whole discussion today goes around the Big Bang theory and the like. So what is it about? And then how does that translate into the creation of humans themselves from the religious perspective, from the Islamic perspective? Then we delve into the biological aspect. So what are the things that happen during puberty? What is a sperm? What is an egg? How does it form? How does it get released? And things like that. And we went about everything you need to know about the biological changes. And then afterwards, the emotional changes, the psychological changes that will happen. How do you equip yourself with it? How do you handle arousals that will come? How do you handle early morning erections? If you see them, don't be shocked. Don't be surprised if they happen to you. There's nothing wrong with you. And don't let your peers push you into what you shouldn't do at that stage, because you begin to get all kinds of ideas. And because teenagers are very prone to misguidance. So, but once they know what they should know, then it's unlikely they'll be pushed into misguidance. And then from there we go to how do you handle your intellect? How do you develop your intelligence? Because you need your mind, and the world today wants to control your mind through the mass media and the social media and the likes. So how do you build a mind of your own? How do you form ideas? How do you defend those ideas? So you need to also work on the mind of teenagers, so it's not prone to misguidance. And then the last, towards the last part of the book, we talked about the Islamic expectations for kids when they reach the stage of puberty, what to do, what not to do, what is permissible, what is not permissible for you to do. So the book is all encompassing for what you need to know about the stage of puberty.
That is it. And as a matter of policy, what can government do to salvage the situation?
In China, for instance, we have TikTok. TikTok, I hate that app. I'm sorry to say that. I don't like it. If hate will be a very strong term. Because of how corruptive it is for the younger generation. You see children making lewd videos and sharing them on this video app. Now, in China, this TikTok is not in operation. They have an alternative to TikTok, and what they share on it are educative videos for the kids, not things that will corrupt them. Ironically, TikTok is owned by a Chinese businessman. So they export to us things that would corrupt our morals, and then within their society, it's not allowed there. More so,
and people like watching bad things.
It's more interesting. It's more interesting. But also in the same China, the celebrities, their social musicians and the likes, are not allowed to flaunt their wealth on social media. And so you curb that want to get rich quick mentality,
of course,
in the
and
youth.
even criminality.
So, yes. So if you look at the music we have today, all sorts of immoralities are preached in the music videos. They talk about
the lyrics, of course.
Yes, in the lyrics you see fraud, you see
words.
Immorality and sex and the likes, all being preached. And some parents even play it for the kids themselves, oblivious of this, the consequence. Some even watch this program, is it Big Brother something, with the kids.
Naja.
When I was a kid, if you play a movie and there's a scene and they're about to kiss, you're in trouble for that, just for that. But now you see a parent and the child seated together watching what is more or less like nudity in the open together. So it's a huge problem which we need to work on, we need to counter. Yeah. And
right,
sorry, I didn't even learn. So the government, they need to do something. But what I've noticed is that our government have other priorities. They don't seem to have this family, how do we correct the ills in the family? You rarely see them make laws that protect the family system. And it's typical to a liberal world. We are more or less copying the Western world. Nobody does that. It's a free world. Anything goes. But I hope, even if the government won't do something, within ourselves, we'll find a way to protect ourselves and our family from the corruptions in our society. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. You've spoken well on this topic, parenting. Abu Imran, thank you and wish you success in your endeavor.
Thank you for having me once again.
Yes, you're really impacting on the society.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, for some minutes now, I've been speaking with Audu Haruna Jimo, also known as Abu Imran, a lecturer with the Kaduna State University and also an author. And the discussion has been around the role of parents, of course, in bringing up their children in the right way, and how we can, of course, correct all the ills in our societies from our family, because it all starts there. Yeah. So we've all learned a lesson from what he said, I'm sure. The program is still Good Morning Abuja. We have a lot more for you ahead.